What if I told you that one of the most effective ways to fight cancer might already be sitting in your kitchen? Not in a prescription bottle, not in a laboratory, but in everyday foods that many people overlook. Even more surprising, some of the foods that have been misunderstood or pushed aside for years are now being studied for their remarkable ability to interfere with the growth and survival of cancer cells. Throughout my career, researching nutrition and human health, I've witnessed how powerful food can be when used alongside modern medical care. Time and time again, I've seen patients make meaningful improvements when they combine evidence-based treatment with smart dietary choices. Today, I want to share several foods that research suggests may help slow down or even disrupt the processes cancer cells depend on to thrive, particularly for adults over 50, when age-related changes can make the body more vulnerable to disease. A study that caught my attention recently followed more than 7,000 adults aged 55 and older over the course of a decade. Researchers discovered that individuals who regularly consumed certain foods with anti-angiogenic properties experienced dramatically lower rates of advanced tumor progression compared with those who did not. The difference was striking, up to 42%. That's not a small statistical shift. It's the kind of finding that forces us to look at food in an entirely new way. And before we continue, I want to mention something. The number one food on today's list is probably available in nearly every grocery store. In fact, many people see it as nothing more than a decorative addition to a meal. But once you understand what researchers have discovered about its interaction with cancer cells, you'll never think of it as just a garnish again. Before we get started, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know your age in the comments and tell me whether cancer has affected someone in your family. At NanoNexus Science, every story matters, and your experiences help guide the topics we explore. If you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, this information is especially relevant for you. Let's begin our countdown from number 6 to number 1, moving from highly effective foods to the most impressive of all. Starting at number 6 is a food that deserves far more attention than it usually gets: green tea. More specifically, we're talking about the powerful catechin compounds found in premium matcha and traditional loose-leaf Japanese green tea. To understand why green tea is so interesting, we first need to understand something about cancer. Cancer cells can't continue growing without a steady supply of nutrients and oxygen. To solve that problem, they often create their own network of blood vessels through a process known as angiogenesis. Think of it as an unauthorized construction project taking place inside the body, complete with secret supply routes that divert resources away from healthy tissue. One of the most researched compounds in green tea is EGCG, short for epigallocatechin gallate. Scientists have spent years studying its ability to interfere with angiogenesis. In simple terms, it may help prevent cancer cells from building and maintaining those supply lines they rely on for growth. Research conducted in Japan involving thousands of participants found that women who regularly drank several cups of green tea each day experienced significantly lower rates of early-stage breast cancer recurrence. Other studies involving men have reported reductions in markers associated with prostate cancer activity, suggesting potential benefits across multiple cancer types. This becomes even more important after the age of 50. As we grow older, the body often produces higher levels of inflammatory signaling molecules. When inflammation remains elevated for long periods, it can create conditions that support the development and progression of disease. Studies suggest that EGCG may help regulate some of the key inflammatory pathways that researchers frequently associate with cancer growth. There's another reason green tea stands out. Aging can reduce the efficiency of mitochondria, the microscopic structures inside cells responsible for producing energy. Emerging research indicates that EGCG may support cellular repair mechanisms and help maintain healthier mitochondrial function as we age. If you decide to add green tea to your routine, preparation matters. One of the biggest mistakes people make is using water that's too hot. Boiling water can damage some of the delicate beneficial compounds. Instead, heat your water to roughly 160 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit and allow the tea to steep gently. This helps preserve the very compounds that make green tea such a valuable addition to a healthy lifestyle. Using boiling water with green tea can significantly reduce the concentration of beneficial catechins, with some studies suggesting losses of up to 30%. For the best results, allow the tea to steep for about 3 minutes and avoid overbrewing. If you prefer matcha, a half teaspoon taken in the morning before breakfast may help maximize the body's ability to utilize its active compounds. There's also a simple trick that can dramatically enhance its effectiveness. Adding a squeeze of fresh lemon juice or combining it with a small amount of black pepper may improve the absorption of valuable plant compounds. Research has shown that vitamin C can greatly increase the stability and availability of T catechins in the digestive tract. Sometimes the smallest additions can make a surprisingly large difference. Moving to number 5, we come to a food that has been valued for thousands of years across many civilizations. Ancient healers in Egypt, Greece, and China relied on it long before modern science could explain its benefits. That food is garlic, particularly the powerful sulfur-containing compounds it produces, including one known as allicin. Let me share the story of a woman I'll call Margaret. At 71 years old, she was diagnosed with a slow-growing form of colorectal cancer. Because of pre-existing cardiovascular concerns, intensive treatment options were limited. Working closely with her healthcare team, she followed a comprehensive wellness plan that included several evidence-based dietary strategies, one of which was the regular use of fresh garlic. Over a year later, her scans showed no significant disease progression, and several markers associated with inflammation had improved considerably. Margaret often says she feels stronger and more energetic than she did a decade ago. Now, to be clear, no single food should be viewed as a cure. However, the scientific evidence surrounding garlic is compelling. Multiple studies have found that people who consume higher amounts of garlic tend to have lower rates of certain digestive system cancers compared to those who rarely eat it. This association has attracted serious attention from researchers around the world. One reason garlic becomes especially valuable later in life involves the aging immune system. As we get older, our body's surveillance mechanisms gradually become less efficient. Scientists refer to this process as immunosenescence. In simple terms, the immune system becomes slower at identifying and eliminating abnormal cells before they can develop into larger problems. Allicin appears to support the activity of natural killer cells, specialized immune defenders whose role is to recognize and destroy potentially dangerous cells. You can think of them as part of the body's internal security team, constantly monitoring for threats. The way garlic is prepared makes a tremendous difference. After chopping or crushing fresh garlic, allow it to sit for about 10 minutes before heating it. During this resting period, natural enzymes activate and help create allicin in its most beneficial form. Placing garlic directly into a hot pan immediately after cutting can greatly reduce the formation of these valuable compounds. Another useful strategy is pairing garlic with extra virgin olive oil. Both foods contain bioactive compounds known for supporting healthy inflammatory responses. Researchers have observed that their combined effects may be stronger than either food alone, creating a powerful nutritional partnership. Now let's move to number 4, where things become even more fascinating. Turmeric has become one of the most studied natural substances in modern nutritional science. Its bright golden color comes from curcumin, a compound that has attracted enormous scientific interest because of its potential role in supporting cellular health. Leading cancer research institutions have investigated curcumin extensively, and one reason researchers find it so intriguing is that it appears to influence multiple biological pathways simultaneously. One of the most important processes it affects is apoptosis, often described as programmed cell death. This is the body's built-in system for removing damaged or dysfunctional cells before they create larger problems. Cancer cells are notorious for finding ways to evade these self-destruct signals. Curcumin has been studied for its ability to help restore some of these natural regulatory mechanisms. Research involving individuals with early precancerous changes in the colon has shown encouraging results, with reductions observed in several markers associated with future cancer risk. This is particularly relevant after age 50, when the protective lining of the digestive tract can become more vulnerable to oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. Curcumin has been investigated for its ability to support the integrity of this tissue while helping maintain a healthier cellular environment. However, there is one critical detail many people overlook. Turmeric on its own is not absorbed very efficiently by the body. Most of its active compounds pass through the digestive system without being fully utilized. Fortunately, there is a simple solution. Combining turmeric with black pepper dramatically improves absorption. Black pepper contains piperine, a natural compound that can increase curcumin bioavailability by an extraordinary amount. Adding a healthy fat source such as olive oil, coconut oil, or full-fat yogurt can improve absorption even further. This combination creates what I like to call the golden trio: turmeric, black pepper, and healthy fat. A small serving incorporated into meals once or twice daily can be an easy way to include these compounds in your routine. For even greater benefit, consider pairing turmeric with ginger. Studies suggest these two roots may work together to support healthy inflammatory pathways and cellular function more effectively than either one alone. Before we continue into the top 3 foods on this list, I want to thank you for being here. If you're finding value in this information and appreciate evidence-based discussions about healthy aging, consider subscribing to Nano Nexus Science and supporting the channel. The goal is simple: to bring complex scientific findings into clear, practical language that anyone can understand. Now let's move to number 3, and this one surprises almost everyone. We're talking about cruciferous vegetables, but more specifically broccoli sprouts. These tiny young seedlings may look unremarkable, yet they contain concentrations of beneficial compounds that far exceed those found in mature broccoli. In fact, broccoli sprouts can contain dozens of times more sulforaphane than fully grown broccoli. Sulforaphane has been one of the most extensively researched plant compounds in the field of disease prevention. Scientists first identified its remarkable properties decades ago, and research continues to reveal new ways it may support the body's natural defense systems. One of its most important roles involves activating detoxification enzymes in the liver. These enzymes help neutralize potentially harmful substances before they can damage cellular DNA. As we age, the efficiency of these protective systems naturally declines. Sulforaphane appears to help strengthen these pathways, essentially encouraging the body to enhance its own protective mechanisms. One large study involving people living in highly polluted environments found that participants consuming sulforaphane-rich beverages eliminated significantly greater amounts of environmental toxins compared to those who did not. Researchers were able to measure these differences directly, making the findings particularly noteworthy. I also recall a retired engineer named Robert who became deeply interested in nutrition after recovering from early-stage bladder cancer. Together with his medical team, he adopted several dietary changes, including growing broccoli sprouts at home. They're inexpensive, easy to cultivate, and ready to harvest in only a few days. Years later, Robert remains enthusiastic about the results. Beyond his routine medical follow-ups, he often talks about improved energy levels and overall well-being. While many factors likely contributed, the nutritional support provided by sulforaphane-rich foods may have played a meaningful role. One important preparation tip: avoid cooking broccoli sprouts at high temperatures. Excessive heat can significantly reduce the very compounds that make them so valuable. For the greatest benefit, broccoli sprouts should be eaten raw or only very lightly steamed. High temperatures can reduce many of the compounds that make them so valuable. They're easy to incorporate into daily meals. Sprinkle them over eggs, mix them into salads, or blend them into smoothies. There's another simple trick that can make them even more effective. Adding a small amount of mustard seed powder can significantly boost the availability of sulforaphane. Mustard seeds contain an enzyme called myrosinase, which helps convert sulforaphane precursors into their active form. Studies have shown that this simple combination can dramatically increase the amount your body is able to utilize. Now we're moving into the top 2 foods on this list, and I encourage you to stay with me because the next recommendation surprises almost everyone. Then we'll reveal the number 1 food, the humble ingredient many people have overlooked for years despite its remarkable potential. At number 2, we have a food from the ocean that I believe deserves far more attention than it receives: wild-caught fatty fish, especially salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring. Most people know these fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA. These nutrients have been studied extensively for their ability to support healthy inflammatory responses throughout the body. But the story goes much deeper than inflammation alone. Scientists have become increasingly interested in a process known as ferroptosis, a unique form of cell death that appears to represent a major weakness in certain cancer cells. Research suggests that omega-3 fatty acids may help make cancer cells more susceptible to this process while leaving healthy cells largely unaffected. Think of it as identifying a hidden vulnerability and providing the body with tools that may help exploit it. Large-scale analyses involving hundreds of thousands of participants have found that people who regularly consume higher amounts of fatty fish tend to experience lower cancer-related mortality rates overall. Some studies have reported even stronger associations when looking specifically at colorectal cancer outcomes. This becomes especially important as we age. After age 70, the body's ability to convert plant-based omega-3 fats into the forms most useful for cellular function becomes extremely limited. While foods such as walnuts and flax seeds remain healthy choices, they may no longer provide sufficient amounts of EPA and DHA for many older adults. Marine sources deliver these fats directly. Cell membranes naturally become less flexible over time. Omega-3 fatty acids are incorporated into those membranes, helping maintain healthier structure and communication between cells. This creates a biological environment that is generally less favorable for chronic inflammation and disease progression. Preparation matters greatly. Baking, steaming, or poaching fish helps preserve delicate omega-3 fats far better than deep frying, which can damage them through oxidation. Aim for several servings each week, focusing on wild-caught varieties whenever possible. To enhance their benefits even further, consider pairing these meals with adequate vitamin D. Whether obtained through sensible sunlight exposure or supplementation under medical guidance, vitamin D works closely with many cellular pathways that influence immune health and overall wellness. Research suggests that omega-3s and vitamin D may complement each other in ways that support healthier cell regulation. And now we've arrived at number 1. Remember the food I mentioned at the beginning? The one often pushed aside on the edge of the plate as nothing more than decoration? It's parsley. More specifically, it's a natural plant compound called apigenin, found in especially high concentrations in fresh, flat-leaf parsley. It can also be found in celery, chamomile tea, and several other herbs, but parsley remains one of the richest dietary sources. I know that might sound surprising. Out of all the foods we've discussed, parsley may seem like the least impressive. Yet some of the most fascinating research in nutritional science has focused on this very plant. Scientists have discovered that apigenin interacts with several pathways involved in cellular regulation and immune function. One particularly interesting area of study suggests that it may interfere with mechanisms cancer cells use to avoid detection. Imagine cancer cells trying to hide in plain sight. Research indicates that apigenin may help expose those abnormal cells, making them easier for the body's natural defense systems to recognize. Studies have also shown that apigenin can influence pathways related to programmed cell death and cell cycle regulation. In simple terms, it may help encourage abnormal cells to stop multiplying uncontrollably and return to healthier patterns of behavior. These findings become especially meaningful as we grow older. After age 65, important immune functions naturally decline. Specialized immune cells responsible for monitoring abnormal cellular activity become less efficient. Researchers have found evidence suggesting that apigenin may help support some of these aging immune pathways, potentially improving the body's ability to respond appropriately. Another area of interest involves proteins that regulate cell division. Cancer cells often keep these systems permanently switched on, allowing unchecked growth. Apigenin has demonstrated an ability to slow certain cell cycle mechanisms, acting almost like a brake on excessive cellular multiplication. To get the most benefit, fresh parsley is best. Drying significantly reduces many of its active compounds. Flat-leaf Italian parsley tends to contain particularly high concentrations. Try adding several tablespoons throughout the day. Mix it into eggs, soups, salads, smoothies, or vegetable dishes. Its flavor is mild enough that it blends easily into most meals while contributing a meaningful amount of beneficial plant compounds. For an additional advantage, combine parsley with foods rich in quercetin, such as red onions, apples, and capers. These compounds appear to complement one another, influencing many of the same protective pathways while working through different mechanisms. A simple salad made with fresh parsley, sliced red onions, apples, olive oil, and lemon juice may be one of the most nutrient-dense side dishes you can prepare for very little cost. Chamomile tea is another practical source of apigenin. For those who don't enjoy large amounts of fresh herbs, a few cups of quality chamomile tea each day can contribute to overall intake while offering additional relaxation and sleep support benefits. That matters because chronic stress affects much more than mood. Long-term elevation of stress hormones can influence immune function and create conditions that are less favorable for healthy aging. As we wrap up, I want you to take away something more important than a list of foods. Your daily meals are not passive. Every time you sit down to eat, you're sending signals throughout your body. You're influencing inflammation, immune function, cellular repair, and countless biological processes that researchers continue to study in greater detail every year. The foods we've discussed today, green tea, garlic, turmeric, broccoli sprouts, fatty fish, and parsley, represent some of the most researched nutritional tools available for supporting healthy cellular function and long-term wellness. I've spoken with many people who believed it was too late to make meaningful changes. They thought age had already determined their future. Yet time after time, I've watched individuals transform their energy, confidence, and quality of life simply by giving their bodies better support. The human body retains an extraordinary capacity for adaptation. Even after years of challenges, it continues working every day to repair, protect, and renew itself. No matter your age, the choices you make today still matter. If you enjoyed this discussion, be sure to subscribe to Nano Nexus Science and turn on notifications so you never miss future videos. Every week, we break down complex scientific research into practical information that can help you make more informed decisions about your health. I'd also love to hear from you. Which food surprised you the most? Was it parsley and its powerful plant compounds? The incredible concentration of sulforaphane found in broccoli sprouts? Or perhaps the simple green tea and lemon combination? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know your age, whether you already use any of these foods regularly, and any experiences you'd like to share. Your story may inspire someone else to take a positive step toward better health. As always, remember that this information is educational and should never replace guidance from your physician or healthcare team. If you're undergoing treatment or considering significant dietary changes, discuss them with your medical professionals first. Thank you for spending this time with us. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.